Hey guys, so I've had a very interesting night. I am minding my niece's, let me just move that. I'm minding my niece's house and it's Easter Friday here in Australia, and my niece's neighbours are incredibly rowdy. So I've waited past my usual time of when I will come on and do readings, hoping that the neighbours will stop partying. Hi, Kerry Blossom. And it's too distracting for me to do readings and be a clear and present channel for people while there's people very, very drunk, loud, partying and noises next door. So I'm just on my mobile and I'm in tucked in the quietest corner of my niece's house, and I just thought I'd just have a bit of a chat with you guys. I've also got these beautiful Kali oracles, and I thought they've got such a divine message that I will just draw a card for the collective. But I won't be taking any archetypal readings. You can ask me questions about archetypes and we can turn this into a bit more of a teaching if you prefer. But I can't I can't give readings while there's just such noise and drunk, rowdy people for Easter. And I just didn't know, I'm minding my niece's house, and I didn't know that that was going to be an issue. So these are the Kali cards. I'm going to draw one, and they come with a nice healing with them. So I'm just going to do that one and then open it up if anyone's got any questions. Oh, hi Sharon. I was just explaining to everybody that there's a lot of drunk partying next door, and it's so loud that I won't be doing any one-to-one readings, because I believe that people have to be in really present energy and be that clear conduit, and I can't do that with boom 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 music, and I can't do that while there's just such clear drunken rowdery and stuff. So I'm going to draw a card, and I'm hoping, I drew one in my group earlier and it was just perfect, but I'm going to ask, what does everyone watching need to hear? And just do like a collective one with Kali. How you doing, Jenna? Yeah, I've waited. I'm supposed to have gone live at 8:30, and I've been waiting, going, come on guys, get quiet. And then I just realized this is probably going to be around for a while. So I'm just going to that one there. So we got Shadashi. Isn't she beautiful? Hi Janine, hi Alice. So I won't be doing any one-on-one readings because of the loud doof music for the Easter partying, and you know, it's beyond my control, but I still wanted to come on and be able to say happy Easter to everybody, and to be able to at least do something. So the card is Shadashi, and I love Alana Fairchild's books, so I usually read them and I talk slowly, so it usually takes a few minutes, and I thought that at least provides a little bit of value for everybody as well. And there's always a healing or a invocation at the end of them, and they're quite powerful cards. So I thought we would just do one for the collective, and then you know, we can chat. I might as well spend the time chatting with you guys than being grumpy in the room listening to doof doof music by myself. And happy Easter to you, beautiful Kerry. And hi, Melissa. So I will read this gorgeous card, and I'll just hold it up so that you can see her as I'm reading. Okay, if you all see it, there we go. Ruby red with the divine juice of life, she nourishes the body, mind, and soul with vitalizing pleasure, life, and joyfulness. Goddess Shadashi restores self-esteem and an awareness of your innate value, especially after a time of painful rejection or disappointment. Through her blessings, the desires of the heart can find fulfillment in new ways. She brings divine energy for the manifestation of wishes. Her presence is an indication of inner power to restore yourself and attract what you need into life. I actually understand why this card's come through for the collective, because I've been having this conversation over and over with people. There was such a deep purge for a lot of people during February and March, but then we were talking about how the equinox kind of eased things. It kind of popped that energy a little bit. And there's been a lot of kind of growth and people kind of waking up and realizing that they've been letting go of some really old patterns. And if people are letting go of really old patterns, well, then you do have that self-esteem that comes through. Sodashi is the fertile and creative aspect of Lalita Tripura Sandari. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Red-coloured skin and vibrant with feminine life force, she is the power to actualize desires. In colour healing from Hinduism and Buddhism, red is medicine for attraction and magnetism. The appearance of Shadashi in a reading indicates a time when your ability to attract what you want is heightened. Whew. Yes, yes, yes. Let's just take a moment and say yes, yes, yes. You can be relaxed and trusting in your capacity for magnetically drawing all you desire into the world. In the tantric teachings of Kali Ma, desire is not something to be afraid of, but something that can be part of our spiritual path. The benefits of developing the character traits required for manifesting desire, such as relaxation, trust, enjoyment, delight, and bliss, as well as discipline, commitment, determination, focus, and positive attitude. And encourages us onwards so we don't give up before obtaining success. From our successes, we will come to realize that within one desire lies the seed of another. Eventually, the nature of desire is realized as a pathway rather than about the thing sought. The desire nature can motivate us to attain breakthroughs for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Shodashi teaches that desire can help us live from the heart, honouring what truly lights us our being, and being motivated by our passions. This can be beneficial for the spiritual path rather than a distraction from it. Her heart is compassionate and her spirit, despite her youth, is truly great. Shodashi encourages young people with big dreams to believe in their abilities and trust their hearts. She also reminds us that age is not necessarily a signifier of wisdom, nor is youthfulness necessarily an indication of lack thereof. Shodashi encourages us to discern qualities at a deeper level, rather than to make assumptions based on age or appearance. Don't take things at face value or go by someone's words. Look instead at their actions at what your experiences has been and allow for understanding as to how to proceed to arise from there. That's one of my favourite things about archetypes, is if you can learn to control your 4 survival archetypes, which is the the child, victim, saboteur, and prostitute. And in that moment, if you can actually control being offended or thinking that someone's doing something and being a victim, or go back to your sabotaging patterns like addiction, procrastination, perfectionism, or, that self-worth issues of the prostitute, not thinking you're worthy of happiness, abundance, starting your own business, following your dreams. So if you can actually in that moment capture and just go, I'm going to change the narrative and flip the script right now, then you can rewire your neural pathways and start pursuing the things that you're passionate about. And with that comes so much change. The fulfillment of heart's desire can be attained in ways other than what the mind prescribes. Shodashi encourages us to stay open even if certain plans have failed to yield what has been hoped. This is an indication that the universe has other ways for us to fulfill our heart's yearning that are likely to be far more beneficial and richer. The heart can perceive the deeper workings of the divine in all things, even in challenges and difficulties. This is why the heart can trust even when the mind recoils at what is taking place. The intellect tends to create stories about situations not working out as expected. Such stories are not often accurate, let alone helpful. Shodashi asks us to take care with such misinterpretations of our experiences. She reminds us that we trust in our heart's wisdom rather than what appears to be, and we will find the courage and faith to stay true to our extraordinary life path so that we can manifest extraordinary blessings. Shodashi often arises when the soul needs deep cleansing, particularly of past hurts. Her presence indicates recovery and the reclaiming of dignity after experiences of being judged, betrayed, or criticized. If your innate being has been attacked in any way, or if there has been bullying or nastiness directed towards you, Shodashi brings healing and renewal to rise above such mean-spiritedness and lay claim to your beauty and worth. If we have been overly valued for our appearance, then she can provide a healing path to clear the confusion and connect us to our real value and beauty of our inner being. Her oracle indicates all manner of beautiful blessings awakening within and being attracted into your life. It's a beautiful ritual, so I'll just read that one for you, all beautiful. Shodashi, red daughter of divine beauty, into your open heart all experiences of disappointment and pain of rejection, judgment and abandonment, betrayal and even self-hatred simply dissolve. With your loving encouragement, I release these poisons from my beautiful heart now. I accept your presence, bringing a generous gift of awakening into a loving embrace of my innate beauty, value, and worth. You are a fertile garden of creative nourishment. I receive your blessings into my soul and trust in the deep yearnings of my heart to keep me focused on my spiritual growth and personal healing. This leads me towards self-realization for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Jema. Isn't that gorgeous? Imagine, visualize, and feel that you are receiving a pink lotus blossom, just like in the picture. The goddess turns to face you with a gentle gaze. Her look penetrates through the confusion and instills a sense of quiet, unwavering confidence and unconditional self-regard within you. You are enough. You do not need to act in ways that suggest otherwise. You are always being led by the universe into the sacred fulfillment of your heart. There is no need to gasp or grasp or fear. Feel the relief and peace in your heart that this realization brings. Open your hands and receive the lotus, taking it into your heart and letting it remain there by gently folding your hands over your heart. Breathe in and breathe out this gift of self-love. You've completed the sacred ritual, aided by the dog. So I can see how that is relevant for people at the moment. I talk when I'm doing my coaching, and I've done articles, I think it was in one of the Rebirth magazines that Spiritual Events Directory brings out. And I talk about walking the middle path when you're making that decision. And if something happens and you are really disappointed, you're betrayed, you're hurt, you're afraid, any of those things, like you're triggered. Maybe you're angry at the injustice of the situation. You want to lie to protect somebody else, like something comes up. It's really important that you do acknowledge the feelings and emotions that it brings up. And you can make that decision to go left or right. So on your left, you can go, oh, I'm getting offended. I'm really hurt. This person's hurt my feelings. They've misjudged me. They've bitched about me. They've done all these different things. And you have to acknowledge the hurt. You can't just go, oh, everything's fine. And you just talk about and focus on the positives, because that just allows it to bottle further. So it's really important to acknowledge what's been done, the feelings. You might want to lash out, scream, have a fight, do something to that other person. You might want to pout. You might want to, have your truth and your version heard. All those things. You look at it, you see it. And then you look over to the other side of the equation and you say to yourself, okay, what do I want to do here? I can actually just say this person means the world to me, but they're wrong in this moment. They're judging my character. Maybe you don't know them that very well, so how can what they say really mean anything too much to you? You can actually just take a moment and go, well, I actually don't care what this person thinks. You assess it like, okay, so what's the higher vibrationary thing that I can do? Choose not to go into the story. Maybe I can say a prayer for the person. Maybe I can pause and actually ask some questions that will assess the situation, and you will have in that moment all the icky feelings you're feeling, but then you also have a higher thought that comes in of what you should do. It's just like they talk about the angel and the devil on your shoulders. And you have to then take the courageous step of choosing the higher path, the higher vibration. And this is one of the parts that I talk about where you stay in holographic alignment if you can do that. Is because you're not going to lower your vibration into doing the things, but you need to acknowledge that those emotions are there in the first place. This was done to you, you're feeling this way, this story is there, I'm doing this. I had last week, I was reacting to one of my friends, and I had like a real mean girl moment where I felt like I was being incredibly petty and mean. And I had to acknowledge that I was feeling that way. I didn't act upon it but it bubbled up. And if I hadn't have acknowledged that the mean girl was there, then if I might have actually continued to get irritated, continued to be mean inside my head, and then let it bubble up, and a week later I actually verbalize and become that mean girl and say something. So when you're in that moment of I'm going to go left or right, lower or higher vibration, if I'm having these icky thoughts, well then be honest. If you're being bitchy, mean girl, a bully, they're thoughts. At this stage, you haven't acted upon them, so they're just a vibrationary possibility. And if you own them and choose not to do them, you raise your vibration bit by bit, bit by bit. Now, most people who've been on their spiritual path for a while do this really all the time. I'm preaching to the choir. But it's when we're under severe triggers, even the most spiritual people I know, the people who love them the most and they love the most, have the biggest possibilities for getting triggered. And they have to do this process. I think when you've ascended into Buddha or Jesus or an ascended master, you don't get these issues. But just like Buddha talks about, whether they're illusions, But if you need to know they're an illusion, you've got to actually verbalize it and say it in your head. This is not real. Well, if I take action, it will become real. So it's that way of really acknowledging your commitment to being on the higher vibration and the higher path. Hi, beautiful Jason and Zita and Lisa and everybody. I have a party going on next door with a lot of alcoholism and doof music. So I don't feel like I'm in my integrity to do readings for people. So anyone can ask me any questions. And I read out a group card of the Kali Oracle, Kali Ma. And you are more than welcome to rewatch the replay because it was for everybody. And I really feel like it was very potent. And I'll draw an archetype card for the collective. And if you have any questions, many of you watch me each week with the archetype cards. Is there one that you got in the last couple of weeks that you were curious about and you wanted to know more about them? Because I don't mind teaching, but I won't be a channel for spirit while there's just so much shenanigans going on. You can't hear the music, but I can. I've chose to use my iPhone because it's a little bit better than if I was on my laptop. But it's also, I can hear really drunk people. So it's never nice to try and give a reading when there's really drunk people yelling out. Oh my goodness, how beautiful. So it's the mystic. So the mystic archetype, there are certain people who have this archetype who it's their life purpose. They are involved in learning spiritual concepts and dedication for a very long time, and they will always be learning some kind of spiritual knowledge. It's like a compulsive energy. So when this comes in for people, it often comes hand in hand with a spiritual activation, and you just get this need to just go to meditation groups, yoga groups, study groups. You learn astrology, numerology, crystals, fairies, you name it. You're going to be compulsively compelled to just want to know why the universe is the way it is and why you were born, and how to find your purpose, how to find your passions, and how to heal your childhood woundings, your past life woundings. You got told you were weird yesterday. Oh, Jason, I love getting compliments like that too. And the thing is I believe that synchronicities and signs and living in the 5D reality of time is different, and you're supposed to get messages from the universe, and things are all supposed to align in holographic alignment, and it's supposed to be woo-woo. It's when we step out of that and we lose that I think there's something wrong. So being called weird is a very good indication that you're probably in total alignment. So the Mystic is a beautiful card to call in, and I think it makes total sense following the other reading with the beautiful goddess Shodashi or Shadashi, because she's also talking about like that time of the abundance coming in and being able to create your reality. And that goes hand in hand with what I was saying with how we've all just kind of had a deep purge and let go of really old stuff and really old patterns, things you thought had been healed, then they bubble up and you're, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Or, old friendships come round to see if the cycle's done. Like, there's been some interesting stuff going on for the last couple of months. And I really feel like we're now shifting into a frequency where we can dream our reality into reality, So dream our dreams into reality is probably the better way of saying it. And we can attract and align ourselves with what we truly want far more easier than we could in the past. And the things that we say we can manifest easier. My friend just messaged me laughing before, because she I jokingly said if she finds an Easter egg, and like she's in her 50s and there was no Easter eggs in the house, she was gurning the house and doing a big clean, and she was gurning the house, and she sent me all these pictures, and she's like, I didn't find any eggs, but look at what I've done, I've cleaned all this stuff. And then about an hour later she rang me, she messaged me just laughing, and she goes, I found my Easter egg, and it was a melted mess in her daughter's school uniform's pocket. It had gone through the washing machine. And even though we were joking about it and we were talking about her finding an Easter egg, she legitimately thought it was impossible because she hadn't bought any into the house. And then it manifests in this really funny way. And that's her life. She lives like that constantly, and that's what we're supposed to be living. Zita has said, I'm currently working on letting go of abandonment patterns and woundings, feeling a bit stuck, feeling better after listening to you this evening. I think that when people have fears of abandonment, and there's the child archetype, there is that Caroline Myce talks about. There is the orphan, there's also the needy or petulant child, and both of them have fears of abandonment, especially the orphan child. And what I suggest, Zita, is you sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and you write a list of your absolute needs, like your fundamental needs. And you need to be very aware that those needs are met. Like if you need one-on-one time with people, like the 5 love languages, learning which ones are those. But it's more than that. Like if you need to have that your partner or your family trust you, or you need to have financial security, like that's an absolute must. If you need to have less confrontation because it makes you anxious. So it's a good idea to also look at your biggest woundings, like what people do to you, and look at the opposite. So say you go, I get really anxious because I can't handle confrontation. Well, then your need is to not have confrontation because it is causing anxiety. So you can reverse engineer it. And Zita, you write this list of your needs. And then you have to really look and go, well, are these fundamental or can I compromise? And if I can compromise, can it be just a little bit or can I compromise quite a lot? And the reason that you need to know this is because people who fear abandonment will overgive and will activate the prostitute or the martyr or the shapeshifter archetypes. They'll also activate the victim and victimize themselves because they fear abandonment so much that they give away and give. And then even a lot of people who fear abandonment and the orphan child can quite often have high levels of anxiety, and they'll plan and they'll try and anticipate the people they love's needs. So, I don't want to have this fight. I don't want to have this. So in order to avoid confrontation, they'll start feeling really anxious, like on the way home, or, I'm going to be meet such and such. And the anxiety bubbles up. You're like, well, what can I do to stop a fight, or to stop an argument, or to please this person so that they don't get grumpy with me? And what happens is that becomes more important, and you end up prostituting yourself by actually giving away so much out of fear of abandonment that you don't honor yourself and your needs, which goes back to why you create that list. It's incredibly vital that you have your foundational list of needs and that those needs are met, because it's for your happiness and mental health. And you step into your sovereign, which is the higher aspect of the child, and you declare, I am going to do this because I need my needs met. And you start to learn to assert boundaries, and you start to learn to say no, because you say to yourself, if I don't have my needs met, I'm going to become a victim. And even worse, I'm going to victimize myself. So does that make sense, Zita? It's a very emotional archetype, the orphan child. And you can easily get quite emotional in confrontations and all kinds of stuff. So that'll all bubble up, and it's of all the child archetypes, you can work with it, but it is a little bit harder. I'm going to be honest. The wounded child, the needy child, and the orphan child all take a little bit extra work because they're deeply afraid of being hurt, their abandonment, their wounds, And it's so easy for them to give. I'm going to give. But they give their power away. And you're like, but it's so easy keeping the peace. It's so easy just to make sure I have the house clean, or it's so easy to make sure I do this, and this. But what happens is your needs aren't being met because you're so busy, looking after everybody else. And yes, it is easy because you're avoiding that fight, but it becomes like a barometer, and you have to constantly be asking yourself, do I really want to do this? No, not really. I'm doing it to keep the peace. Or you're going to victimize yourself and go into prostitution. And by prostitution, I mean you prostitute your soul, your happiness, your energy, your time, your money, your life. We've only got so many years before we go in the ground. And, unfortunately, those archetypes can be spent doing so much for other people. And then when you get into your later twilight years, you can become incredibly bitter or hurt or develop a lot of arthritis and, very painful times. And it's like a reflection of overgiving for so many years that your body pays the rent for that. And it catches you up. So you have to really look at it. And start putting yourself first. You don't feel safe to have my needs met. It's probably not just safety, it's trust. You don't trust whoever it is in your life to actually meet your needs. And it's safer to not say anything and then be disappointed than to verbalize it, and then you will actually have to face being abandoned or shot down or ridiculed or belittled or hurt. Remember, the abandoned, the orphan child or the needy child, they do anything to avoid being hurt. They don't like it, and they'll go to great lengths to avoid it. So you have to, you say you don't feel safe in asking for your needs, and you'll have to be really, really honest with yourself, Zeta. Sit down and look and go, well, have I actually asserted a boundary before? Have I let these other people know that my needs are important? Or have I actually never told them because I am afraid that they will reject it and I will get hurt? If you have never tried talking about your needs to them, then I'm going to encourage you to really look at that, because you are either avoiding the inevitable, or you're putting your trust and love in people who are not worthy of it. And it's not an easy one. But you can't expect them to know your needs unless you insert that boundary. And you also have to be careful that you haven't kind of deliberately chosen people or stayed with people who are not going to meet your needs, because your self-worth and the prostitute might be actually far more active at the same time. I'd have to kind of know more about your situation. If this is always hard to say to people, but I'm saying it out of love. If you're with people who are like a family member, and you've tried asserting your boundaries and your needs, and they are never going to meet them. There comes a point with this archetype where you have to actually have kind of like a mental acceptance of it, because maybe it's their archetypes and you're looking at their archetypes and go, well, whatever is going on with them, they're not going to meet my need. And I have to stop yearning for it and accept that it's not going to be met. But it's still a need, and it's going to have to be met by other people. So if it's family members, family doesn't have to be just blood. You can find amazing, beautiful friends who can, meet many needs. I guess there's a part of me that feels like asking what I need is sabotaging because I'm not confident. Asking the child, the victim, the saboteur, and the prostitute are your self-esteem suite. There's your self-esteem system. So the fact that you don't ask for your needs because you're afraid of being heard is you sabotaging yourself, but it's more confidence. It's not the actual saboteur, it's the child, but that's still a lack of confidence by not asking up and having it met. But the really hard thing to know and to acknowledge with this archetype, and I'm saying this with real love, if you have a needy child or you have an orphan child, you are always going to be afraid of abandonment and rejection. You're going to fear it in your workplace, in your friends, in your house. It's an archetype. It got activated probably in your childhood for some reason. And so for example, my child, I have the magical child, which sounds fantastic, but it's not. I had a very magical childhood, very easy everything, but I'm the biggest daydreamer, and I can activate the procrastinator really easy. I absolutely can procrastinate so badly. If there's confrontation, I want to run away and put my head in the sand. And if I get really hurt and shocked and I don't get my own way and my child throws a tantrum, what I do is I literally activate my addict. And my addict is a reader and a movie watcher. So I want to escape in reality in a book. And I'm not talking about any just addiction. I'm talking about reading till 4 o'clock in the morning until I can't see it. I'm so blurry and my eyes are gritty. I wake up groggy at 10 o'clock in the morning and then read for like another 14 hours. So it's total addiction and escapism, because that's what any addiction is, whether it's pot, ice, alcohol, cigarettes. I'm going to escape my reality by getting something that makes me feel good, even if it's smoking cigarettes. You tell yourself, I'm stressed, this makes me feel better, I'm do such and such. And I've got family members who smoke. Please don't think I'm judging. I've got family members who do pot. I'm not judging in any way. But that is what addiction is. You are wanting to comfort something within you or escape from something within you. So it is a reflection of your self-esteem. And that's said with love. And so that's my child and how my child reacts. So Zeta, you're going to have to be careful that you actually be really aware that I'm going to fear abandonment and rejection in all areas of my life. And the only way to face this head on is to be in my sovereign and warrior. And know that it's part of your archetypal suite and work with it, not against it. So yes, Christy, 14 hours of reading, but what I would do is then I'd do it for, days and weeks on end. When COVID hit and the jobs I applied for disappeared, I spent April, I must have read, I don't know how many books, a ridiculous amount of ebooks. And it's the equivalent of somebody going on a month-long drinking bender. Like, that's how bad the addict is. So I wanted to escape reality, and I did so in spectacular fiction books. But still, it's my addict. Mary Ann's wrote, the problem that can be faced if we find others, amazing, beautiful friends who can meet those needs, is sometimes the well-worn path of finding someone similar to that person who didn't respect the boundary overrides, and we can end up finding another person who doesn't respect our boundaries. I don't know if you missed the first part, Mary Ann, but when I was talking about your fundamental needs. So when I was advising that she calls in people that meet those needs, it's not looking for the same person who repeats the same pattern. You are literally looking for people who meets those fundamental needs. So if you find another person who doesn't respect your boundaries, what you're doing is there's something else going on in your self-esteem suite. Could be the prostitute archetype with worthiness issues. I'm not worthy of finding people to meet my needs. So there would be more to the story. Does that make sense? Now, bookbender could be a lot worse. Yes. So I know how it takes a big shock for me to go on a bookbender. I'm more inclined for my child to activate my procrastinator. It's rare for it to activate the addict, but I'm very aware when I am. But sometimes it's really interesting. How do I word it? Even though I'm in my addict, I'm so throwing such a massive tantrum that I just can't help myself but throwing that massive tantrum. So when COVID hit, and I couldn't because I'm an Aries, so when COVID hit and I couldn't control things, I threw a massive tantrum. And I like to have a plan and I like to understand things, and my alchemist archetype is like a puzzle master, and I put puzzles together, and I rely on that when I'm working with my clients and I'm coaching or I'm doing the counselling. People will tell me different things and I put all this puzzle together and it makes sense. And but if someone throws all the puzzle pieces out, like with COVID, then I got really really big one. And Gaz's wrote, an Aries, I bet you've got a Pisces stellium though. I don't know, gorgeous. I've got Libra moon, Sagittarius rising, and I'm an Aries sun sign, and I've got a ridiculous amount of fire signs in my chart. And the fascinating thing that you might be picking up with on water though, Gaz, is I go to water to do pretty much everything. So I get in the bath to cleanse, I get in the bath to do my best creative ideas. I do, you know, I'll put salt in there, crystals in there, flowers in there, oils in there. I get my pen and piece of paper and I download my content ideas for my coaching programs. I went to a lady who did astrology, and when she looked at my chart, she goes, you know, you've instinctually been going to water to soothe all those fire signs my whole life. And I do. I spend, like, water is my go-to. So you might have been picking up on that. And I always have water on my altar, etc. Christy's got, I'm an Aries sun and Sag rising too, with a lot of fire in my chart. I also spend heaps of times in my bath and go to the beach. I love the beach. I love looking at running water. If I'm going to go for a whoosh walk, I like to go in the rainforest and go to a waterfall. Just looking at a waterfall was amazing. So it just brings me so much soothing qualities, Christy. And I laugh because I tell everyone that I have a little Aries bulldozer. Well, I've got a big Aries bulldozer, and you know, I just keep pushing and I don't give up. And so with that fire sign, I do have a lot of fire. You know, once I make my mind up, it doesn't ever really get changed. I'm always open-minded, but there's like this click moment. Like if I'm making a decision, I'm so open to everyone's opinions. You know, I'm open to being wrong, but then when I make the decision, it's done. You ain't gonna budge me ever. And so that's what I call my bulldozer. Gas has got fire dominant to Moon in Aries, Mercury and Venus in Leo, Saturn, Uranus. Yes. So do you find water really beneficial for, you know, centering you and cleansing, and also like I just, even in the shower, I'll have the best ideas, and people say, oh, that's common, but I just think it's even more. I'll literally get out of the shower and I'll send messages to my clients, and they know that that's normal now because just, oh, I've had this idea. And so at the beach, I can do incredible cleansings by the beach. Christy, yes, I'm extremely persistent and persevering. Yes, I'm very loyal, incredibly loyal. If you do something to destroy that loyalty, I will drop you like a hot potato, but I won't hold a grudge. But I'll lose all respect for people and just go, you've betrayed the extreme loyalty that I'm showing to you. There's no coming back from this, but I wish you well. Bye, Felicia. So that's very much my Aries and all that fire. But I don't hold a grudge. I just don't have the patience or the time. And then I'll be like, oh, hang on, I'm supposed to be angry at that person. And I never really lose my temper, which I find, to me, if I lose my temper, I've lost control and I beat myself up. So what I do is it bubbles up like Mount Vesuvius, and it gets to about here, and then I just walk and I'll take time away. Yeah, I've never really held a grudge, but I will just absolutely drop people and walk away. But I'm never bitter or send projections towards them, but I'll even forgive them, but I'm not going to give them my loyalty again because they've betrayed it. My mum's a Scorpio, Wendy. I love Scorpios. Oh, she can sting though. She can be very sarcastic, but she stings herself. She's very hard on herself. You know, very, very hard. I love water. Scared shitless of it too. Feeling uneasy, not touching the bottom. I was shot down in a plane during World War II and hit the English Channel in my last life. Oh wow. You know what, Gaz? I don't really like swimming too much either. Never really thought about that. And never really swam out into the ocean. I'm too kind of scared of the riptides and I have a healthy respect for the ocean, so I just stay kind of hip deep. And if you were in the English Channel in the last past life, then definitely that fear of going down. Whew. Hello, beautiful Jerry. Yes, Scorpios get a bad rep, but are misunderstood. Some of my most absolute favourite people are Scorpios, including Mum. So they're earthy, they're grounded, reliable. So they do get a bit of a bad rep. And I know that they're supposed to be like sexual and all that, but not all the Scorpios I know. So, Oh, Kerry, that's a lovely combination. Suzanne, Jane. So we were discussing the 4 archetypes. They're Caroline Meiss's survival archetypes, but when I'm doing my coaching and counselling, I tie them into your self-esteem suite or your self-esteem system. So you would have to actually tell me about yourself and how you get triggered and what your biggest fears and doubts are for me to really know which of those 4 are active. And then they're not all dark or hard, or they're not all about your self-esteem. There's higher ones, which are like the priestess, the crone, the mystic, the shaman, the poet. There's so many. The sage, the teacher, the healer. There's hundreds. You know, you can even have pirates, thieves. You know, they're all archetypes as well, addicts. So an archetype will be in its light or its shadow aspect, and you can actually call upon the higher archetypes to help you get out of your sabotaging system. So, for example, I have the priestess archetype. So priestess, my entire life, people have come to me with confessions and told me bizarre stuff. I used to think, what in the world is going on? And it just used to be so confused. And then as I got into my 20s, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I was like in spiritual ego. And then when I got into my 30s, I just went, oh, okay, we're doing this. And like people go, let's have coffee. And I'd have coffee and then telling me that they cheated on their wife. And I'm just like, oh, okay. You know, like weird stuff. Not weird stuff, just not what I was expecting. So that's how I knew that there was something there, and that's when I started to explore it. And then I realized, I was reading about the priestess archetype, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what it is. And then I started to realize that when I help people and I'm of service, I get such joy and almost like an energy biofeedback that now that I'm doing that and I'm living this lifetime and I'm teaching the archetypes, I could never go back because it gives me that energy and that joy and that love. So I have to be of service. So that's how you can find your archetypes, as you look at what are the things you've been doing your whole life, and what are the reoccurring personality traits. And then you start to build what you think is an archetype around that. You know, a teacher who has a teacher archetype gets complimented on how they teach, is good at it, is called to it. I'm a good teacher. I had no idea and I started doing this archetypal work, and people will go, oh, you explain that so well. Oh, I've been doing this for years and no one's ever been able to tell me. I've had people that have gone to therapists, and I can say it with archetypes because it's a primordial language. We all get it. It's really fascinating. Zeta said, what was the name of the goddess card you pulled? Her name is Shodashi. Shodashi. So it's Shodashi. And it's part of the Kali Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Now, Alana Fairchild, I will never do a reading with her cards because they have their own indications, and she gives such a detailed description that I'll never really try and add to it. I can describe how that's relevant to what's going on at the moment, etc., like I did tonight, but I won't just pull a card and start going, oh, the lotus represents this and such. I think that would be far too disrespectful to Alana Fairchild and the work that she does. She's got my respect. She's a mystic and a healer. So I recommend any of her decks. I've got like 6 of them, and I use them as I'm called to whichever goddess. Okay. Wendy's got same. I seem to get everyone's life story, but I do believe everyone needs a safe place to fall. Wendy, if you don't get drained by it, you have definitely got the priestess archetype. People tell me all kinds of stuff, and I go into this place of no judgment. I had a person tell me they were sleeping with their half-brother, and they went into this story of like, oh, it's possible that he's not. And when she showed me a picture, it was like sleeping with your twin. And I was just like in no judgment, nothing. Listened, asked questions. It wasn't until half an hour later that I just went, what the actual fuck? You know, and that was in my 20s. And I would have done a much better job a decade later. But I asked questions and different things, and I do firmly believe some of the stuff that I said helped her to end that relationship and then go on to have a very healthy life. But that was, you know, I was only like 23. No, I would have been about 25. Maybe. But anyway, I was a young priestess. But, you know, there's absolutely no judgment. And all kinds of stuff people have said to me, and I don't get drained by it. These days, it's absolutely nothing special. And when people book in for like coaching chats, it is so common for them to have a cry, and it's I actually am so amazed to hold space for them in that moment, and I feel really blessed to be able to do that. Suzanne's got, I resonate with the service as I get calls from people seeking help in trauma, loss and grief. Yes, that would be not just service, Suzanne, that would be healer as well. The healer and the priestess quite often go hand in hand, but not always. Some people who like yoga teachers that can channel through Shakti energy and do different things, not necessarily go into doing too much healing. It's like they're the conduit during that moment, and then, you know, you move on. Gaz, you're a good listener. Weirdly get told I'm good with words, although sometimes I don't see it. There's communication-wise, there's an interesting set, Gaz. You might have the mediator, Could be the priest. Christy's got wow. No judgment is what I'm calling a safe place to fall. Yeah, I would say that you most definitely have it, Wendy. And if you don't get drained by it, and they can just come and talk to you, and then you kind of just move on next one, most definitely, very much so. The Emperor and Temperance cards a lot when I draw them for myself or read others easier. I'd have to read those cards. It's been a long time since, because the tarot are archetypes as well. I would have to look into, the Emperor could be either the King or the Sovereign archetype. Temperance, I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember that one. I don't have my deck with me. So, yes, but the whole major arcana, very archetypal, and then it's almost like the card suites themselves tell an archetypal journey, but the major arcana I can tie into patience. There's a couple that have patience as an archetype. You've got the healer, the knight archetype can be incredibly patient. Teachers can be patient. Counselors can be patient. Helps if I say it correctly. But yeah, it's been. I love archetypes. They're my passion, and that's very much what this card is all about. Is finding your passion. I'm incredibly impatient, but I've learned to accept it. One of my worst things is impatience when it comes to communication. People will ring me up and they'll want something, and I'm just like, you don't need to do all the 10 minutes of small talk and then ask me for what you're wanting. Just ask me, because 90% of the time I'll probably say yes. But I'm not afraid of saying no either. But I'm just like, get to the point. And because I'm a good talker and a good communicator, I can be very impatient with other people when they don't get to the point. And I'm like, come on, Jess, be more patient. So that's one of my things that I have to look at as well. It was a really beautiful card, Eliza. If you haven't seen the earlier part, I actually read out the full thing and the invocation. So this will get saved and you can go back and listen to it. And it's really beautiful. So I highly recommend it. Well, I actually don't even know what time it is, so I don't know how long I've been going for, but I probably should, tie this all up so that I can, get back to listening to my neighbour's doof party and maybe get distracted with watching a movie or something that's equally noisy. You've got a good place to Mercury, I would say. Great communicator. I think Mercury is in Aries as well, if I can remember correctly. At Mars or whatever it's called. I think Mercury is as well. I can be very blunt, but in a good way. I think I've got the mediator, so sometimes I can really get away with it, and people don't get offended. Carrie, it's been a lovely night. I actually really enjoy teaching about archetypes, so it's been really nice, Carrie, to talk, have a nice chat and do a bit of teaching and more one-on-ones as well. So one-on-one time with you guys. So I better get going. What is the best way to connect with you? Let me see if I can write a comment at the same time? I'm on my phone. Plus, mystery mask. Surprise your viewers with a different mask every 5 seconds. Is that possible? What does that... Oh, sorry guys, I had to be a bit of a child and play with that because I've never found it. Here it is. At inner alchemist. Sorry, I'm slow on this phone. I'm on the cusp of the generation where you can type at the speed of light, and it's not something I have. Did that work? No, it didn't come up. Damn it, hold on. Let me try, if you type in, okay. I know it was supposed to change every 5 seconds, but I'm just a permanent blues brother. Oh, look, if you scratch your nose, your hat goes wild. Oh, it did come up. So Zeta, feel free to send me a message on my business page. There's also, I don't have the link to it, but my group is called I can't spell. And so that is, why didn't my mask change? I'm kind of devastated. Every 5 seconds. Popular mask. So you can go on with a different, oh, okay. I'm learning with you guys. Popular mask, go live with this look. Go live with this look. I still don't understand why the mystery one is stuck on the Blues Brothers. It's supposed to be every 5 seconds. Go tell Facebook that they've completely and utterly messed up. So if I go back to that one, and oh, this is even weirder. So very exciting. Oh look, this is when you're in your sovereign archetype. There's so many. What's that one? Oh. I feel like I'm in a spy movie. Oh, that's blurry. Oh, I'm a man. Hello. Wow, that's random. I'm a dog. Rainbow. Well, I feel like my inner child's come out to play and I've been goofy and it's been fun. I'm going to stick with the rainbow with the wet look. No, that's a bit weird too. What about that one? Oh, that's a bit, I'm the mystic. Oh, here we go. I can be cool. I'm very cool, guys. It's been so much fun with you guys, and it's been awesome. and I clearly have no shame because I've played weird Facebook filters with some divine people from all around the place. And I'm wishing you a really merry, magical Easter if you believe in that. If you don't, I wish you the absolute best days off. Do absolutely lazy things, eat lots of food, and do nothing. Sounds good. Eat chocolate, which, you know, if you do pagan stuff, go wild. Do more pagan stuff. It's been an absolute blast. Oh, we both said blast, Gaz. We're both cool. And it's been wonderful. I'm sending you all so much love. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Friday night. I've got my very own doof doof band. And, oh, Jason, I was a bit goofy and silly. Nothing unusual. Yeah, my neighbours. I'm kind of channeling them now. I'm sure some of my neighbours are like, oh, at the moment. So I'm like them. It's been absolutely awesome spending the night with you, and adore you all. Have a lovely time of it. And you don't have any chocolate. What about a cup of tea? We can dig into our British ancestry, and everything's fixed with a cup of tea. Jason, that sounds like a good plan. I've always wanted to go to the post-Christmas decorations and buy the 10-cent decoration ideas for a whole year and then be able to brag about it, how I didn't have to spend all this money. And I never do. I forget every single year, which I can be a bit of a miser. So I'm amused that I don't do that. I admire the people who do, but I just don't. I'm the type of person who buys a birthday present for somebody, forgets that I bought it for them, and buy them a second one. And then I'm like, oh well, they can either have two, or when I just randomly find their present, I just give them random presents. That's one of my 5 love languages, by the way. So I just roll with it. 911, are you calling for help because I've got the coolest glasses on the planet? So I'm sending you all love. I better get off this thing before I get any daggier. Bye. Much love.